Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 44 years. I'm going through the lessons again this year, asking Jesus for clarity, and then I write from that clarity. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. I've been writing about our identity as spirit since we started these lessons because I understand that our only problem is one of identity. When we accept what we are, as opposed to what we made to take the place of God's creation, there will be no more problems and no more suffering. It is truly that easy. Our apparent problems sometimes loom so large that it's hard to believe the solution could be so simple. But let's look at this more closely. As bodies, we seem to be separate with separate interests. Thus, life becomes a competition. For some, the goal is to protect their income, and this may have a far-reaching effect. Because we believe we're separate, the tendency could be to care about one's own interest rather than with concern for how it affects others. After all, what business is it of yours? They have to take care of their own. We reduce taxes even if it means some will have little to eat and do without health care and other basic needs. Here's another example of the effects of thinking we're separate. I used to hear a siren and stop what I was doing to mentally place each of my kids. I wanted to be sure bad luck had not come to visit them, and it never occurred to me that I should be concerned about the children of others. Or if it did, it was more like my kids first, then others. That was because I used to believe there were others. These days, that sounds strange to me, knowing as I do that we are one, always one, regardless of appearances. Even my study itself has been touched by a sense of specialness. My only goal is the peace of God, and yet in my mind, it has often felt like a personal peace I was seeking. Yes, it would help others if I accepted this peace, and I care deeply that it does. But there is no personal self to be at peace. How can I know the peace of God if I make it personal when it is the absence of a separate self that reveals this peace? I still feel like a personal self, but at other times I feel like spirit. I continue to practice these lessons so that I begin to feel only like spirit. At least I know the truth, even if I still get lost in separation thinking. It's an odd feeling, like being part of the story, and at the same time being aware of feeling like part of the story. Like I'm in the story, but also watching the story. Maybe that's the way it is for a while, until I feel more rooted in my true identity. Jesus says that today, while I practice this lesson, I bring reality closer. In fact, he says I could save 1,000 years by doing this practice. The Holy Spirit will offer all his strength to every little effort that I make. Some days I need to know that I am not alone and that I am being helped because some days it feels hard. I know that feeling is part of the illusion. How could it be hard to be what I am? But still, I'm glad that I have helpers. Perhaps sorry, paragraphs 5 and 6 wow, having trouble here talking. Perhaps paragraphs 5 and 6 motivate me to do my best. The Holy Spirit will be glad to take 5 minutes of each hour from your hands and carry them around this aching world where pain and misery appear to rule. He will not overlook one open mind that will accept the healing gifts they bring, and he will lay them everywhere he knows they will be welcome. And they will increase in healing power each time someone accepts them as his thoughts and uses them to heal. Paragraph 6. Thus will each gift to him be multiplied 1,000-fold and tens of thousands more. And when it is returned to you, it will surpass in might the little gift you gave, as much as does the radiance of the sun outshine the tiny gleam a firefly makes an uncertain moment and goes out. The steady brilliance of this light remains and leads you out of darkness, nor will you be able to forget the way again. Wow, right? And then I read something from Joel Goldsmith's Consciousness Unfolding that also touched me deeply. Here's a part of what he said while speaking specifically about war. Do not use your mind or your thought or your spiritual powers to patch up the illusion. Become one with God and stay on that level of consciousness. Do this as many times as you can in the day and many times as you can during the night. Get the feeling of God's presence. Soon the illusion will be dispelled. Joel Goldsmith reminds us that our work is not to try to fix the world we see, but to look beyond it. What appears as war, sickness, or crisis is part of the dream of appearances, governed by cause and effect within that illusion. To pray for changes in those appearances is still to give them reality. Instead, we're asked to turn inward and realize our oneness with God, allowing that awareness to be our only true response. From that place, the illusion is not patched or rearranged. It is gently undone. This has deepened my own understanding of practice. These quiet moments of turning inward are not just helpful habits or spiritual tools. They are the real work. Each time I choose stillness and remember God's presence, I'm stepping out of the dream rather than trying to improve it. That gives these periods of meditation a new meaning and a clear purpose, one that feels focused, alive, and deeply relevant. I used to think this life was about me and that I needed to wield power to ensure it took the form I thought it should. If I could be of help to others along the way, I would do that, so long as I got what I needed first. That thinking is no longer part of my strategy for a happy life. I see now that everyone's happiness is as important to me as my own because we are not separate despite appearances. And this lesson, along with the others, gives me a way out of ego confusion as it helps everyone do the same. At the same time that I'm helped, others are helped. And as it returns to me, it has increased exponentially in power. Of course, I'm going to practice this lesson. Why would I not? This morning, as I began my meditation, I asked Jesus how I should meditate on a peaceful end to this war. He told me to remember that I am part of God and God is peace. Thus, I am peace. Remember that. Know that and hold that knowing. So that's what I did. And I will hold it as long as I can. And then again and again, as often as I can. I am part of God and God is peace. Thus, I am peace. If I want peace, let me remember that. Here's my new and freshly awe-inspiring mantra. Spirit, I am a holy Son of God, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, free to forgive and free to save the world. Thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back soon with another reading. See you then.